In today's Data Tools Pro video, I'm going to dig into one of the tools of trade, Datameer, that we use for transforming and understanding and profiling HubSpot data. The easiest part of the process is getting data out of HubSpot into Snowflake. Whether you use the native out-of-the-box capability that HubSpot ships with their higher tiered products, whether you use a tool like Fivetran that makes it ridiculously simple to get all of your data from HubSpot. The challenge remains, once you get it into your data warehouse, someone with an understanding of the data needs to roll through and turn this raw information into insights. When you need to perform more advanced analytics capabilities like cohort analytics, revenue attribution, and more importantly, when you need to start to tie your funnel data to your ERP systems, that's where having the data in Snowflake really helps. So let's go ahead and explore. So to work through, to understand, to profile, to explore, and ultimately to prepare business-ready data, our tool of trade for Snowflake for enterprises is Datameer. Datameer sits directly on top of Snowflake. No data leaves Snowflake other than to present this on the front end. Now, when we move from raw data to preparing a business-ready data set for a cohort analytics, what we need to do is combine deals and contacts, because I want to know how many contacts are created, but then ultimately I need to know how many of those contacts translate into deals, and how do I look at lifetime value of those contacts. So to start down this path, in this case, it all starts with the deal contact table. Now, this is structured as a junction table where you can have many deals to many contacts. So inside of Datameer, I can simply profile my deal IDs, and I can see that there's a number of deals that have more than one contact. And you can see here it trails off. There's 1,628 records in my junction table, but 1,500 of them are unique. So that's one thing I'm going to have to deal with so that I can get to distinct deals. And then I can see, just for curiosity more than anything, that I have some contacts associated with many deals. Now, there's a number of potential nuances and things that could be occurring here where maybe you see some extreme cases in your data where maybe a partner or an internal user or some other scenario that you need to actually dig in and investigate what happened here. Who is this contact? And is this a legitimate customer? So these visuals help you quickly explore and understand and profile the data, because I ultimately want to get this table down to unique deals. There's multiple ways to approach this problem, but regardless of the approach, what I do is I come in and I create just a simple row number formula, where I'm essentially taking the distinct deal IDs and I'm counting the number of contacts. And it's literally as simple as that. You can see that I have 1,568 deals with only one contact, 53 with two, and 7 with 3 contacts, which kind of mimics the visual that we looked at prior up here. So now that I have that, I can use one of the several tools, in this case a pivot, that operates just like a pivot table. So I can say, okay, what do I want in my rows? I want unique deal IDs. I'm going to take that row number field that I created, where there's only 3 values, so I'm pivoting by this row number, and then I want to place the contact ID within this row. So now I have unique deals. I have my first contact, which I have complete programmatic control. If I ever need to go back and I want to really dial in and select and figure out who or which contact is first, I can do that using this function here. And now my output data, when I look at my row count, I have the 1,568 rows. And now if I reprofile this, I can see that my deal ID matches the distinct number of values. So now that we have unique deal IDs, what I want to do is connect the deals and the contacts to this table. So Datameer provides this visual multi-join feature. So what I can do is say, all right, first I want my deals. I'm going to connect to the deal object in my flow, and I'm going to connect and select deal ID with deal ID. And then the second table I want is my contact. So we're going to add the contact object, and then I want to connect my contact IDs. And so now visually I can see from this object, I'm connecting to the deals and I'm connecting to the contacts. First, what I want to do is I want to understand, is there any deals in my deal table that somehow doesn't exist in this mapping table? And so to do that, I can go to my validation tab and I can actually calculate my validation. And so what this tells me is that there are 8 deals that somehow exist in my deals table that does not exist in my HubSpot deal with contact. So we have 1,568 records in this junction object, but somehow I have 1,576 deals in my HubSpot database. This could be timing of the refresh, it could be legacy data where something was deleted. There could be a lot of reasons, but this gives me out of my entire database 8 deals that I may need to go chase down. Now similarly, if I calculate the validation on the contact table, we can see that we only have 1,377 matches, but my data source has 445,000 records. Why would that be? If we go back to our configuration, remember, this is telling me how many contacts with deals we have. The reality is that I want to know all of my deals with or without contacts. So in this case, we're going to select a full outer join. And what that's going to do is create a merged data set that has all of my contacts, regardless if there's a deal or not. And so now if we go back to validation and we click, we're going to see that we're bringing in all of my contacts, irregardless of it having a deal or not. So I'm going to apply this, and Datameer just created another node. And so you can see that Datameer visually shows you the combination of these 3 data sets into one node. So to be demonstrative and not have to walk you through, I created another approach to get to the same end result, where first I'm joining my deal with contact to deal, and then I have a second join so that I can follow this along. So here you can see that same concept of pulling in the 8 unmatched records. So now I want to prepare my data so it's more business ready. I've got a bunch of fields. I may only have a handful of fields that I need to deliver. Now that I have my joined data set, I really want to start to understand and profile this before I deploy this for business consumption. I know that my deals are unique, so we're never going to be double counting revenue or any of the deal funnel data. But I want to explain further before I deliver this data what's in here. So I'm going to click on Explore. I'm going to go to my deal created date. And I know that my business stakeholders really just care about 2024 and beyond. And so I'm going to create this exploration, which brings my data from 400,000 down to 800. We'll go back and edit this. And what I want to do is now group this by month and just count the unique deals that exist in this data by month. And I also sort this data in descending order. So now we've got our exploration view. Datameer also allows us to create visuals. So obviously data visualization is way easier to understand than tabular data. And I could create additional exploration views so that I can quickly profile and understand what's here. The other nice thing that I can do is I can convert this to a transformation on my canvas. So now I want to take this and deploy this to Snowflake. I'm going to deploy it as a query, and we'll call this deal monthly validation, deploy this, and what Datameer is doing is it's deploying my query. So now I have this deployed as a table, or I could deploy it as a view. I can see exactly what's deployed. And then as things occur, let's say I want to make a change to this. Maybe I go ahead and I edit this to say, let's go back a year to 2023. I can update this. It will now notify me that, hey, I need to actually redeploy. Now, this should show up green, indicating that I'm in sync. And if I go to my history, and if anything went wrong, I can actually restore and go back. So really what we have on our hands with Datameer is not just a simple data preparation or exploration tool. We have a full-fledged enterprise platform here that's packaged up in a way where you benefit from the speed of rapidly slicing, dicing, experimenting, coupled with the enterprise-grade deployment and lifecycle management of code. But most importantly, everything that we're doing here is running natively on Snowflake. Nothing, I can look and see exactly what is being generated from a SQL standpoint so that I know what is being deployed to Snowflake. Once I deploy this and it's executing on Snowflake, I've removed any concept of a point of failure. If anyone needed to come in and understand what is being deployed outside of the context of Datameer, we're not using any proprietary scripting like a lot of the BI tools do to understand how we're transforming and preparing data for business consumption. And that's why I bring Datameer to clients. That's why I implemented it at my previous employer, and why I'm here recommending this as a great solution to slice, dice, and deploy HubSpot data. If you want to try this out yourself, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks.